Welcome to Code to Enhance Learning Beginners Web Development video series. In this video series, we are learning web development using HTML, CSS and JavaScript so that by the end of this series, you can build your own amazing website to solve your problems. Today we will start with lesson 7, that is clicking the buttons part 2. This will be our last lesson for our second theme. So currently we are in the second theme, that is subjects I like. Every person on earth likes to learn about something or the other. So in this second theme, we are going to make a multi-web page website about different subjects we like. Maths and science are my favorite subject, so I have made a multi-page website with fun videos to explain some incredible concepts in maths and science that has helped me a lot. So let me share it with you guys. Here is the about page of our website which will give information to the user about the page. On the maths tab you can see there are amazing videos which will make you fall in love with the subject. My favorite one is the B1, and then we proceed to the science tab where we have equally exciting videos. So now let's see what more we can do in this theme. In the last lesson, we have learned about HTML events, document object model that is DOMs, function like dates and maths.random. In today's lesson, we will change the content of the web page as a button is clicked using functions. So let's begin our lesson. Functions in JavaScript. In order to make the website more interactive, we need to learn about concept called function. A JavaScript function is a set of code designed to perform a particular task. A JavaScript function is executed when something calls it. Let's now try to add function with an example application to add numbers below. In the first line, we have defined a function called add. We can define a function by writing the word function in front of the name of it. In the round bracket, we have defined the argument which will be used in the function. You can think of them as a box which has some value stored in it. A and B are the arguments. They will have the values which I want to add. In the curly braces, we can write the code that the function is supposed to do when it's called or invoked. I have written a plus b as I want to add the numbers. The return statement would return the value of the sum to the place where the function is called. So now, where you want to add the two numbers in the program, you can just call this function. This saves a lot of time for rewriting the codes again. For example, here I select the element with an ID answer using the document.getElementById command and then set the value of the element with answer of addition of the two numbers which I get by calling the function add. Add is a function which returns the sum of the two numbers a and b. So when it is called, like in the getElementById function below, it returns the value of the sum of the two numbers passed inside the parentheses of the add function. In simple words, if some operation is being used multiple times in our page, then we can store the operation inside a function and name the function whatever we want it to be. Now let's implement the function in our web page and see how it works. As you can see, we have created the structure of our web page here, where inside the H1 tag, we have written the main heading of our program, that is CEL coding program. Inside the paragraph tag, we have kept it empty and passed an ID of ANS, that is answer. Now inside the script tag, let's write some code to add two numbers in our web page. Let's start by passing a function called add to add two numbers a and b. Next we pass a return statement to return the sum of the two numbers in our web page, that is the sum of a and b. Next we will access our paragraph tag using the ID, and we will change the inner HTML of the paragraph passing the function inner HTML with the sum of the two numbers I am passing inside the add function, that is 1 and 2. Now let's open our browser to see how our page looks like. As you can see the paragraph below our main heading, we can see the sum of the two numbers. Now if we remove the return command from our function, we won't get our answer right as it serves as an integral part of our function. Let me show you how. Return statement in JavaScript. The return statement is an integral part of our function. Let's know why. Return statement stops an execution of a function and returns a value from that function. If omitted, it returns undefined. In the given example below, as we can see, return statement is removed. On removing the return statement, our web page shows undefined instead of the sum. This is how a return statement works. Next up, we have an interesting practice task for you guys. So what I want you to do is now pause the video right here, write codes with function to subtract, multiply, divide and even find the remainder using the return statement. Go ahead. So I hope you are done with it. Let's continue with our lesson. Inner HTML. As you must already remember, we have used this function previously in our lesson. Now let's learn something more about it. The inner HTML property sets or returns the HTML content, that is the value of an element inside DOM. In simple words, inner HTML property helps us to access the content of an HTML element through our JavaScript code inside our script tag. For example, in the code we have learned earlier to add two numbers given below. As you can see, by the use of the inner HTML property, we can access the content of the p tag and change it to the sum of the two numbers using the add function. Now let's give finishing touch to our final web page of this theme. So let's add function to show relevant content in our page when a button is being clicked. So let's head into our script tag and initiate document.getElementById function. And first we go for the subsign section, that is the ID of the sign section of our page. Following that, we go for the style attribute and set the display property to none. Then we do the same for the math section as well, but for our next section, that is the about section, we keep the display property to block since we want the about section to be displayed first when our web page loads. So setting the document.getElementById, then the ID of the about section, that is about, and now we set the display to block. Done. Now let's declare our function and we are going to name our function show, and inside the parentheses we are going to pass the parameter page name. Following that, we are going to pass the curly braces, and inside the curly braces we are again going to initiate document.getElementById function, and first we go for the submath section, then set the display to none. Now we are going to do the same for rest of our sections, that is the subsign section and also the about section. About, style, display, done. Now we are going to set getElementById page name, that is the name of the page that is called, to block. What this will do is whenever a function is called, the page name mentioned inside the argument will only be displayed in our website. So in the previous video you saw, we separately added the codes in each of the button tabs to show the content when they are being clicked, which kind of becomes repetitive and cumbersome for us. So now I am going to delete them one by one. So first goes the about button, delete, then the math button, and then the science button. So this time we are just calling our function show inside each of the onClick event handler in each of the button and mentioning which tab it should be shown upon pressing the button using the ID of the tab. So first we go with the about button with the ID about. After that the math button with the ID submath, and then the science button with an ID subscience. So the code will work like when the button is being clicked, the event handler attribute will call the function show and pass the argument. If the about button is being clicked, then the about value is passed to the argument. But if math button is clicked, then the submath value is passed. And if the science button is clicked, similarly the subscience button is passed. Now let's head into our browser and see how it works. As you can see, on opening a browser, we are navigated to our about section. That is, the about section is only visible. Next, when you click our maths tab, only maths section is visible. Then when we click the science section, the science section is visible. So now I have an exciting practice task for you guys. So what I want you to do is now pause the video right here, open your file and write the code for the buttons using the functions to change the content of the page. Go ahead. So I hope you are done with it now. Let's move on with our quiz section. So we are at the end of this lesson. By now you must be in a position to solve these questions. Go for it now. So I hope you got the answer correctly. The correct answer is option B. So this will be it for our second theme, guys. We will return to you with a fresh new theme in our next video. To be the first one to get notified about it when it's released, press the subscribe button and click the bell icon. If you like the video, press the thumbs up button. Till then, I'm Rishabh from Code to Enhance Learning signing off for today. Hope to see you in our next lesson of web development video series for beginners. Thank you.